All right, all right. We are live. We are live.
Yeah, yeah,
Welcome
yeah,
to the
yeah.
latest episode of the Ikari Press podcast, brought to you by our good friends over at Anchor. You can get the podcast directly at anchor.fm/Ikari Press. We are also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and we have just been added to Audible. So if you have an Audible account, just type in Ikari Press over there. We should come right up. If you also want to check the podcast out, you can check me out on my direct link. It's youtube.com/Ikari Press. Try to post some of the episodes there, not all, but some. And this is definitely going to be one of them that is going to be
just the good ones, baby.
Sometimes I'm just running my mouth. You know how it is.
I don't know. You got to put the content out.
But yeah, well, exactly. But my guest has been here multiple times. He is an Eisner Award winner, an animator, an artist. He is the creator of Earthworm Jim and about 20 different other properties. Cat Scratch, and I know you worked on VeggieTales and all that kind of stuff. And we are going to be talking about cancel culture. And I could not think of a better person to speak to on this subject than Mr. Doug TenNapel. Hello.
Hello, my brother. Just so you guys don't know, in case you don't know, I love Antonio Bryce. We're good friends. And,
the love is returned.
I miss you so much. And we're working on a project together.
Oh yes,
you did some voices for me. It's gonna give people a heart attack, I think. But
I think so. But you bought me breakfast. I could not say no.
That's right.
And small confession. About 2 years ago, I was talking to Doug, and he was talking about different animation things he was working. I was like, I sure would like to. I'm a big animation head, so I thought, I was like, Doug, it sure would be nice one day if I could do a voiceover in one of your cartoons or whatever one day. And boy, when he offered me this particular, it was not quite what I thought it was. He is not he's not over exaggerating in the slightest when he says
it is a wicked project. So this one's going to hurt. I go, oh, you want to do a voice, huh?
Oh yeah. So, but the recording process was interesting. I'd like to do more of that. Hopefully, if this one gets some attention.
So we're going to use Bo's here too. In fact, he helped with the record at your house. We recorded at your house there because you live here in Tennessee. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this little 1.5 minute short, put it on a crowdfunding site, and use it to raise money to get the next one. So it's kind of a giant experiment to see. It's going to be like, oh, you want more? Well, you're going to pay for it this time. So this first one's free, and the next one they pay for. And if they pay, then we do another. And if they don't, then we don't. But I think we're going to get paid a lot of money. We're going to do a ton, man. It's going to be a blast.
I definitely think it's going to raise an eyebrow, as is the subject of this particular episode of the Ikari Press podcast. There's so much over the last few months that I've been seeing about cancel culture, and Hollywood's a funny place, and it seems like they have one set of rules for men, unless you're conservative, and one set of rules for women. And Doug, you've definitely been cancel culture is not just in acting or producing or anything else. Like obviously in your line of work as an artist and everything, you've been I've been watching you, some of the stuff you've had on YouTube. You've had a couple of channels that have been struck and shut down. I've had my channel flagged a few times, as I'm sure you are aware. Kind of talk about what's been going on with some of that.
Sure. This goes, I lost a channel with 450,000 subs. That's like worth $1 million right there. And I'm recovering on a new channel that's Doug TenNapel Unleashed. But, I have a big mouth on me, right? I have a abrasive big mouth on me. So I was always going to be the canary in the coal mine. I was always going to be the first to be hit for any view that was unpopular or anything because I'm very vocal and I will not shut up. I just think it's so, I don't know about weak, but just un-American to let people bully you into silence. I just think that goes way against our values. So it just makes me want to, I'm the guy that if someone says be quiet, I grab a bullhorn and I just start screaming. No, how about no? So I've always been in trouble. And, obviously some of that is my own doing. I have to, say I'm not exactly the best manners or the lightest touch in the way that I describe things, but I'm exactly as rude as the people that are trying to cancel me. I'm exactly as vocal and as brutal as they are. So it's not the brutality that they have a problem with because they're 10 times more brutal. It's the problem is that they want to destroy people who do not support gay marriage, who don't support global climate, environmentalism, who are pro-life, who are Trump supporters or right-leaning, who are conservative, Bible-believing Christians. Those are the ones they particularly target. And then, so that was me 20 years ago, right? Well, now they've just lowered the bar. Now it's like, if you say all lives matter, or if you say I dream of a colorblind world, now you're a racist. They just keep lowering the bar of what Me Too is. It went from touching to now it's if you're looking, and then if it's you compliment someone's attire, and now it's if you don't agree with saying that someone should be able to give their baby, or hormone blockers, their youth hormone blockers. It's like they just keep lowering the standard now on what will get you canceled. So we've seen this flame up just in the last, it just gets worse. It escalates worse and worse. The last month was worse than a year ago. And 1 year ago was worse than 3 years ago, So, and there's nothing that I see to mitigate or slow it down because the people that are doing the canceling have control of every major lever in our society, cultural, now political with the parties, Hollywood, communication, big tech. You see big corporations now coming out against Georgia with the baseball league, things like Google, Lyft.
I want to get into that actually.
Okay, we'll get into that, but I'm just saying, so what we're seeing now is the bar lowered for what will get you canceled and more people coming in and wanting to remove business. So it's not just freaks like me that are hardcore Christians. Now it's like normal guy like that guy, who just barely, crossed the wrong T and dotted the wrong I. He lost his job or his scholarship or his teaching position or Gina Carano, which I thought just did very mild stuff on Twitter. You're fired from they were going to do a whole series on your character.
Yeah, she was going to get a spinoff. And that was one of the first questions I wanted to ask you because you mentioned Gina Carano. I'm a big fan of hers. What's your take on that whole situation? Because I kind of thought she got a raw deal on that. And I honestly, I thought that was a lot of bullshit. I'm being honest,
even by cancel culture standards, she wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? She didn't do anything. I would think she agreed with a ton more of their positions than I would. And so that's what I mean by the standard is lowering, and she's in a hot zone. So if you're working in Hollywood, it's obviously worse than if you're in a coal mining company in West Virginia. Hollywood, academia, these are hot zones where if you speak out, you will get removed because they demand that you publicly. And we saw this with Black Lives Matter last year was you had to put up the black square to show in solidarity with that movement, regardless of what you thought of race or whatever. Musicians were getting pressured to put up the black square. Instagram, big stars were getting Mumford, all these guys were getting canceled. I don't know if it was the Jonas Brothers. What were the bands? They didn't put up the black square, and a whole bunch of their community started saying, fine, I'm out. If you won't put the black square up, I'm out.
Actually, a pretty interesting thing I saw a couple months ago on that. The guy that was on Arrow, Stephen Amell,
Yeah.
and he had said he posted something on his Instagram about Black Lives Matter, and all of a sudden he got swarmed on because the young lady on their spinoff show, The Flash, they did a race swap. Iris West is a white woman in the comics. They made her a black woman.
Yeah, and she was great. She was a star. I love that show.
Yeah, the actress that portrays Iris on The Flash is a beautiful woman. But apparently,
and I like the dad too. The dad's black.
The
dad is. It's a great. The roles acting in The Flash. This is on the CW. Was just one of my favorite series. At least the first 2 or 3 seasons. Probably the first season was my favorite. But
I saw people. They were upset at Stephen Amell because apparently when she was getting quote unquote bullied, he did not put out some big old grand statement about, hey, racism is bad. He was supposed to, I guess he was supposed to be the poster child for anti-racism. And so people were like, you did not defend her when she was being racially bullied, so you're a bad guy. I thought that whole deal was weird. I'd also
so the demand now is it's not just being quiet. Being quiet isn't enough. That is a crime. That is a form of racism now, being quiet. Silence is violence, we've heard. And now you will speak out and you will say the right words about the right issue or you don't get to work.
Well, my mom always kind of leaned towards, what was it Mark Twain said, better to be thought of as a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Yeah.
Some people don't need to be talking about racial issues or big issues. You know what I mean? I'm just being honest. And sometimes with entertainers, Michael Jordan got a lot of flack for hey, Republicans buy sneakers too.
Yeah.
He's a billionaire. You might argue that it's a smart thing not to piss off a large chunk of your consumer base. But I mean, some people would say he's a sellout or a coon or any of those type of things because he's not out here just going, down whitey, all this kind of thing. So I don't. Do
you think this whole thing though is really, in the internet age, we have empowered, we hear the audience's voice now. So before you never heard the audience, it was just the star. It was a one-way ticket, communication one way. Now the audience has as big of a platform as the star. So now you hear from them and they're like, hey, how about I tell you now what to think? It's not just one way. You don't just dictate culture to us. Now we dictate back to you. And we say, these are the most vocal people on the left. These are our politics and you will fall in line or we will go after you.
I definitely see a pattern where you have to toe the party line. if you don't, we're starting to see some of that in Hollywood now because Will Smith and Antoine Fuqua, they're doing a slavery movie, which I got a whole weird thing about slavery movies, but they're doing a slavery movie called Emancipation. Antoine Fuqua is the director of Training Day. He's directed Denzel Washington like 4 times. Training Day, both of the Equalizer 1 and 2.
Oh, those are so good.
And Magnificent 7. So he's directed Denzel in those 4 films. He's teaming up with Will Smith. They're doing this slavery movie, Emancipation. They were in pre-production. It was being filmed. It was about to start being filmed in Georgia. They were going to, later this summer. Will Smith and Antoine Fuqua made a decision, and they released a press statement that they have decided, because of the Georgia voting law, that they no longer wish to film Emancipation in the state of Georgia.
That's so
and
stupid.
They're looking for another location now. Obviously, Georgia has lost Major League Baseball's All-Star game. I've seen the NBA saying that there might be sanctions. They've gone to the producers of The Walking Dead and Walking Dead is filming 3 different shows in the state of Georgia right now. Ryan Coogler just came out. Ryan Coogler, Fruitvale Station, the first Creed movie, Black Panther. He's directed so many different movies, and he's wrapping up the pre-production on Black Panther 2. He started writing the script last summer. I saw they're wanting him to go, as a black man, I'm not going to film Black Panther 2 in Georgia, which they filmed the first one there. He's come out and said at this time he does not believe that moving the film is a smart move. They're going to stay in Georgia. Marvel does a lot of business in Georgia. I think they started with Age of Ultron. They shot Captain America, the Winter Soldier there. Doctor Strange 1 was shot there. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. They got 4 locations on that movie: Atlanta, New York, Los Angeles, and in London. So there's scenes being shot there. There's The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is on right now. WandaVision was shot. They're shooting every Avengers of Infinity War and Endgame were all shot there. They're wanting Marvel to take this big bold stand and go, we will not film in the state of Georgia. So I like that Ryan Coogler, especially, Will Smith's a big star. So the fact that Will Smith has decided to move his production for his film somewhere else, that's a big deal. But I like the fact that Ryan Coogler said, no, we're staying. What do you think about stuff like that?
Yeah. Well, I've always hated boycotts. And now if you only have one side doing boycotts, that's the left. Then it's like going into a fighting ring and one guy has his arms taped behind his back because he wants to play fair or whatever. And the other guy's cut his gloves off and he's just nailing you in the face. So at some point you got to cut your gloves off and you got to punch back. But I don't even believe as an act of revenge boycotting. So you have guys on the right saying, don't drink Coke and don't support these guys. And I'm starting to lean that way now, just because they have to at some point. But what I hate is the expansion of the politicization of everything, where suddenly a Coke doesn't mean Coke and just a sweet drink anymore. Now it's a woke leftist thing. And if I use Delta Airlines, that also pulled out of Georgia. Now I feel like I'm supporting someone who's trying to destroy my job. They're trying to ruin my state, let's say. And am I going to fund that by buying their product? So now we're all being dragged into the politics of items and stories and Marvel stories that are not political at all. And they're just going to drag that production to another area that's going to be lily white, but it's not going to have the certain vote laws that they were trying to. They've basically just said we're attacking the Republican stand on vote reform. And the thing is, I believe in freedom. So I'm kind of all for people going in and doing whatever. And then the audience just has to respond and do whatever back. We're free to do that.
Well, I actually talked about, I did a video on my channel about Will Smith's deciding to relocate the Emancipation film. And some of the comments were interesting, but I mentioned that because one of the things I said in the video is, when I go to vote, I've got all my proper identification. I've never, ever, and I hope people can see I'm black. I've never, ever had a problem. When I went to the voting booth, there wasn't a separate line for Negroes or any of this kind of thing. I'm just like, I'm not trying to be laugh this off because I'm hearing people, they wouldn't let us vote. They were doing this or whatever. And I'm like, I just haven't experienced that. When I've gone, they ask for your identification and stuff.
This is a Democrat thing. This is not a black thing. That's what bugs me is this is a political hit job against the Republican Party. And I'm just saying, I think it's fair for businesses to do that. I mean, I think it's dumb because what they're going to end up doing is splitting off their right-leaning audience. I'm not going to go see this Will Smith movie now. It bugs me because he tried to destroy the work environment in Georgia. I'm pro the arts, and they're anti-art. If they're taking this stuff, they're making these decisions not based on the merit, which would be the best place to shoot it, which would be Georgia. Now they're saying we're going to sacrifice merit, and we don't care if the location's totally wrong, but we have to make this political statement and sacrifice the art. And I'm way pro art, and pro the business of art. So it's complicated. It's just we're in a state of flux. I'm against that kind of stuff. What am I supposed to do if I put together an animation crew? Am I supposed to say I'm only going to hire animators who are for my party's position in Georgia on the vote? And everyone else, I'm sorry, you're the best person, you're the best actor, you're the best writer, you're the best animator, but I just won't work with you because you voted wrong. That's where we're going. That's what Will Smith did. I'm not going to hire all those Atlanta people. Frankly, a whole lot of blacks working in Atlanta and on that film crew. And he's going, sorry, guys, I have to punish you. This is for a long-term gain. It's for your own good. And, I'm just going, this is gross. This is not America.
Oh yeah, and it's weird. That was what you just said was a big point. Yeah, there are a lot of black people working in the entertainment industry that work in and around the Atlanta area. They got the Tyler Perry Studios there, as I mentioned, the Marvel movies.
Tyler Perry's huge in there.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. My old boss at Amazon had a home in Atlanta, and he lived right over there by the Tyler Perry Studios. And they were employing about 1,700 people. I've got another friend. His daughter has worked on The Walking Dead for about 10 years now. She's makeup. She's a makeup person there, and she's worked on some of the Marvel films as well. And there's a whole industry there. And so I would, obviously, I respect Will Smith. I respect Antoine Fuqua. I watched a lot of both of their films. I thought that was a weird decision to take that away. I thought it was weird when baseball decided the All-Star game wasn't going to be there anymore.
Yeah. But it ain't weird anymore. Now it's normalized. Antonio, this is what I mean by that standard is getting lowered. We're getting normalized to cancel culture, that it's just the way things go now. And you go, wait a minute, baseball? What happened to a redneck sitting on a big couch with crack open a beer and watch the game? They're like, no, we don't want the right-leaning people anymore in our audience. Because first of all, we're going to open up baseball to China. We're going to sell it to China. We'll get 5 billion people to replace the 50 million we lose in America on the right. We'll replace them. And Hollywood knows this is a union town. They know they can break a town. They're going to break them. And Hollywood has a vested interest because all that business was going to Georgia. They're going, let's try and get it back to LA. I'll bet you anything they end up shooting these things in Canada, though. They're going to go give business to Canada to punish Georgia.
Okay, let me ask you this. I don't know if you or the beloved Mrs. TenNapel are familiar with Bridgerton on Netflix. I don't know if you guys, okay. From Shonda Rhimes, who created Grey's Anatomy. Oh, yeah. And How to Get Away with Murder, and what was that other show? The one with Kerry Washington, I can't remember, where she was sleeping with the president. A Scandal. Okay, so she created. I mean, she's worth a couple $100 million. So
yeah, no kidding.
She created Bridgerton, which is based on. There's a series of novels with Bridgerton, and they've sold like 10 million of the books. And I'm huge, very successful, just like Game of Thrones and all these other series. But when they created the show, they decided that they wanted to do, quote unquote, it's supposed to be set on like British aristocracy and all that kind of thing. They decided to do the colorblind casting thing. And so we've got like black dukes and earls and all this kind of, so they've got, a lot of Hollywood shows are doing this now. We've seen shows like The Witcher, and they take characters that, it's supposed to be set in like medieval times in some of these areas a lot of these people would all be white, and they go, okay, well, let's put a black person in here. Let's do that. You know, I understand the whole diversity inclusion thing. One of the stars on that show, he was only signed for one season. A gentleman by the name of Reggae Sean Page.
Yep.
They did a reboot of Roots. I think it was in 2016. He played Chicken George on the reboot of Roots. He's actually half white and half Nigerian, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure.
He apparently had auditioned to play the grandfather on the Superman show Krypton on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Sure.
And the casting directors, they were trying to do the diversity thing. And apparently Jeff Johns, who I'm a big fan, Jeff Johns is incredible in the comic book field and everything. Yep. Apparently Jeff Johns was not with the bullshit. And he was like, no, Superman's a white character. The audience is probably going to expect Superman's grandfather to be a white guy, which I agree with that. I get a lot of flack for stuff like that. I didn't really enjoy Michael Clark Duncan as the Kingpin in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. Kingpin's always been a white guy.
I liked him in there, man. I like
Kingpin's
that.
a white guy.
Casting. Yeah.
Kingpin's big white guy that controls crime. He's been that for like 60 years. That's what it is. I mean, I know other black people were getting on to me when I go, I'll say, hey, I kind of, a lot of these people don't actually read comics. I read comics, obviously. I make comics.
That's right.
I kind of want the source material respected. I do want inclusion, though. I want people behind the scenes that are, minorities to get opportunities and find some other roles for those. Because one thing, I made a video about that as well. And one thing I did say is they brought Reggae Jean Page in and they had him read for the role. Okay, you don't think he can be, Superman's grandfather. Find something else for him to do.
Sure.
That's where I was like, okay, find another role that he can have on the show if you don't think he can be that part.
I'm torn on that one because I believe in meritocracy. So to me, a black actor could play a white role and a white actor could play a black role.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. Okay.
So it's to me, it's kind of like when you go to the theater, and I remember the first racial scrubbing that I saw was when they did Miss Saigon and they were demanding all the cast be Asian. And I'm just kind of going, well, I don't have a problem with a guy who tapes his eyes if he can act really well. And, I have no problem with, even if they ridiculously mixed a family's race, but they were hiring for acting ability. Like, I want the best actor. I don't care if it's a black son and he has white parents and they don't explain it. I'm just kind of going, I can see that, but it would have to go both ways. The idea is you go for the best role. And if you have roots, stick a white guy in there and see what happens, and watch what happens. I never had a problem with Hamilton being a primarily black cast or whatever the guy, he wasn't black, the main guy who played Hamilton.
Oh, you're talking about, he's Puerto Rican, I thought.
Puerto Rican? I didn't. I thought
Miranda.
I thought, cool. I never had a problem with black Captain America. I don't have a problem with Miles Morales as a black Spider-Man. Into the Universe.
I like
one
Miles.
Of the best. That's one of the best Spider-Man movies I've ever seen. I never once thought, hey, this guy needs to be white. I never felt like I was watching a movie that was like, hey, everything's like black, 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 black. Everything's the black issue suddenly. I'm just going, I don't have a problem with that kind of cultural diversity and fun with roles. I just think it feels like it's going one way and they're like just virtue signaling everything. And that's what I don't like. I don't believe in hiring just for the sake of diversity. You know what I mean? I always wanted the best guys on my cast. And as you know, with Cat Scratch, I had a black cat character and they said, what kind of a voice do you see for him? I'm like, I see him talking like a big black guy. And they go, well, we can't hire a black guy to do his voice because he's a black cat. And I'm going, wait, well, Why not? You're telling me they're all, racial diversity. I go, so in the name of racial diversity, you're going to say no black people can try out for this role? That's how Hollywood works, friends. It's the stupidest thing we ought to laugh all these people out of town. It's ridiculous.
Well, you kind of see some of that weird stuff happening on both The Simpsons and Family Guy, both of which are on Fox. They had black characters. They recast Cleveland. That guy's been Cleveland Brown for like 20 years. And now, now a black man has that job.
And Hank Azaria did the apology tour for playing Apu.
Apu, yeah.
Who is one of the funniest characters. And I get it. If there was a bunch of people from India complaining about that and going, "Hey, I don't appreciate it." No one complained about.
One I saw. There was a documentary. There was something. There was "I'm Not a Pooh" or something. There was some. It was on Netflix or something or Hulu. One of the I saw. He was an Indian man, and
no one complained about the Irish guy on The Simpsons. The guy who the Irish guy who works at the school or whatever. He has the suspenders on. Did they have to get an Irish guy to play that role? I mean, I don't know. I don't. If it goes both ways, I think it's stupid. I really don't think. I think it's liberals have a problem with it, not blacks. It's liberals, and it's a whole lot of white liberals falling over themselves, trying to racially correct everything. And it's just dividing us further and further. And now every time you look at a role. And when I see a black person playing a role that was traditionally white, you just look at it and you just kind of dismiss it and go, well, I know why that happened. It's like. It's
tokenism, though, to me.
It is.
That's the thing. It is. I want real inclusion, not tokenism. But it's like I said, you bring Regé-Jean Page in and the casting directors apparently did want to offer him that job. And then Jeff Johns cited the source material and got nixed. Regé-Jean Page, he didn't say anything about it. He just went on. It's like 3 years ago, and then someone else has come forward in the last few weeks and go, "Hey, this was racism," and now people, Jeff Johns had put like press statements out and they've got a PR team now. They're trying to put the fire out. So Is it racism that Denzel Washington and Will Smith are two of the most beloved box office characters in American history by white people? Am I supposed to like a white person better? I forgot. Which white actor am I supposed to like more than Denzel Washington in Book of Eli? Or The Equalizer? He's amazing. And that's a white role. I never once thought, man, I wish someone else was in this role besides Denzel Washington. Have you watched the new Equalizer television show with Queen Latifah as the Equalizer?
I watched the pilot episode and I just hated it.
I've watched 5 episodes,
and it's only because my imagination just couldn't go with Queen Latifah after seeing Denzel. I just couldn't go there.
I have to be honest when I look at the show because they've got a female sniper. I get it, girl power, the whole thing, and I've been told more. I'm a caveman. I've been told I'm a sexist and do all this. I do. Perhaps, I understand women might be slightly offended by some of I do tend to believe in traditional gender roles.
You like women.
Yeah, but okay. So you put a woman, even a stocky woman like Queen Latifah, and she's up against 4 guys and she beats the crap out of 4 men. Hey, no problem. She can pick guys up and slam them and do this kind of stuff. And I mean, they've got a lot of bad girl flicks where the woman is in a set. What was it? Long Kiss Goodnight with and all. Where they have
Gina Davis. Yeah. I always believed Halle Berry could be a badass. I always believed that. I never had a problem with that. Or who's Jackie Brown? Who's that lady? Pam Grier.
Pam Grier, yeah.
You just go, yeah, they can handle it. Queen Latifah, she's like my aunt,
Well, I don't know. Now, if you saw her, there was a movie she did that was directed by F. Gary Gray called Set It Off. I know Will Smith's wife was in that as well. But yeah, she played a bank robber in that who was a lesbian. And her character was she had braids and she was all stuck. I mean,
and you believed it?
Oh yeah, she came across. I actually thought she should.
What was the one she was in with LL Cool J? It was like a romantic one. What was that?
Oh, that was the maid, or I'm trying to remember because she did another one with Common where he was a basketball
that one was really cute. I like that one.
Yeah, I'm trying.
And she was in Taxi Cab with Jimmy Fallon. Was that the one?
That movie was terrible. I gotta be honest about it. Taxi was terrible. I didn't enjoy it, but I just, like I said, when I think the Equalizer television show is a little woke. It's a little woke, but it's not horrible. Once you start going, wait a minute, so she can beat up like 4 dudes and do all this kind of stuff. And once you get past that, she's just the Equalizer, you go, okay, this is the show now. She's got superpowers.
I just want more Denzel Washington movies. That's one of my favorite characters. Him as the Equalizer. He's amazing.
Oh yeah.
You can't touch that.
He's amazing. I love both of them. Yeah.
So what's next with? So we've covered cancel culture based on race, based on voting laws in Georgia, which probably falls into race when Biden started calling it the new Jim Crow, and then we've got there's all kinds of the gay issue out there with. You've done some of this where if you're using a dating app and you're not okay with a trans and you want to date a woman, you can get canceled.
Oh my God, this is terrible. When I'm on and I'm still, I just had a date the other day. And so as I'm using some of these sites, I've noticed that I've seen quite a few transgender women in my feed.
And they're going, hey.
and then and some of them are real kind of sassy about it. Newsflash, I'm trans. If you don't like that, you can swipe left. And I'm like, I'm gladly swiping left. I don't have a problem with that person being trans, but I do notice that trans status seems to be weaponized. I'm using and I'm looking at the case of Ellen, although I can't remember what her new name. I know she's trans
Elliot?
now. Is it Elliot? Okay, Elliot. Okay, so Ellen Page is now Elliot. Okay. I remember what was about a year and a half, 2 years ago, she came after Chris Pratt because of the church he was going to.
Yeah.
And try to say, that he was homophobic and, this church is, pretty much like an alt-right organization. She was doing the whole thing.
Conservative Christians are enemy number one. They're ground zero for all this. Ground zero. That's what started it with me, is if I wasn't a Christian, I could have slid by just fine. But you take a stand on that religion, if you believe what the Bible actually says, you're unemployable. You're going to be. And I believe that's the end game. I think this whole thing isn't about politics. I think it's about Christianity.
Let me ask you this. Okay, because I'm working with Daym Drops on the comic. It's Daym Drops Super Official. You can get it at daymcomic.com. So okay, he did a video a while back where he went to Chick-fil-A and he did a food review, and I saw some comments on his YouTube channel and on his Facebook and stuff, and people were like, "You supported that hateful organization, Chick-fil-A. I'm not going to watch your videos anymore. I'm not going to." I thought that was strange. I was like, he just went up there and got like a sandwich.
Yeah.
If you know Daym is extremely liberal.
Yeah.
I was like the past year that I've been talking to Daym. Daym is really liberal.
Hold on, Karl Marx. Hold on there, friend.
Yeah, Dame's like uber liberal. Gay marriage, the whole nine. He's uber liberal.
Yeah.
He just went and did a food review at a Chick-fil-A, and they were getting upset. It was like, they're a hateful organization. They're against gay marriage, which Daym is not against gay marriage. He just went and got a sandwich.
You're not supposed to think that chicken sandwich is delicious. And that's the thing. But so put that same challenge to me. What if I, excuse me, what if I really liked Will Smith's movie Emancipation? Isn't that like Daym going and eating a chicken sandwich, for someone he disagrees with? He's going, I'm going to review this chicken sandwich based on what it is, not based on their marital policy. And so maybe I should have to get around Will Smith bailing on Georgia and destroying all those Georgia jobs over his politics, and I should just judge the movie. So see, this is a discipline that I do, is everyone else always demands everyone else change. And I turn it inward and say, am I living by values that I'm inheriting from the left, like boycotting? It bothers me to take that on, because I think that's a leftist position, to boycott and cancel people. And I just think you should be sometimes just look at a chicken sandwich and see if it's a chicken sandwich, and look at Emancipation and judge it on the merits of the movie, not on the politics, the leftist crazy cancel cultural politics of its creators.
Oh man, this is turning out better than I had hoped. Okay, so let me pick your brain on what happened to Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp was getting ready to start shooting Fantastic Beasts #3, and he was going through a divorce with his then wife, Amber Heard. And apparently she was very abusive towards him, hitting him and doing there was some of the stuff that came out in the court documents. I mean, it just sounded like crazy. She sounded like she was very, very abusive to him. Yeah. Warner Brothers came to him and they were like, we just think it wouldn't set a good precedent for us to allow you to continue on in this role. And he voluntarily stepped down and was replaced by Mads Mikkelsen. So
though Rowling is a feminist who's against trans, and they have no problem doing a J.K. Rowling movie.
I love her.
Yeah, so do I. But they're going to cancel Johnny Depp. This is why it's madness. It's not consistent. It's purely convenient. If any of these people, if the audience fought against it enough, they would all turn around and say, we can't get away with this anymore. We got to hire Johnny Depp. It's the audience is too compliant. We don't fight hard enough. Everyone's afraid to stick out and be the bad guy.
Are you, when they fired James Gunn from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, he's obviously back and they're supposed to start shooting. Going into the summer, they're going to start shooting Guardians of the Galaxy 3 after the Suicide Squad movie comes out that he also directed. Were you happy that he got his job back, or did you think, this is a bad guy?
I said this when he first said those jokes, is they're tasteless, they're terrible, but he is not that. You know what I mean? People were trying to make a serious accusation that he had a serious problem. I just didn't think. The reason why I defended him was, from what I see in culture, everything is just as bad as him. Everybody, everywhere. So maybe they didn't commit the exact same sin that he did, but the idea that these people could stand in judgment of him and fire him for what he said, when I've seen what everyone else says and they keep their jobs, including at the time, Weinstein and all these, other people, they're like, yeah, we got to fire this guy. I just think we should be a little more tolerant over what people joke about. And to me, it was a joke. I don't think it was serious. So I don't think people should be fired for jokes.
Actually, yeah, I agree with you on that.
Same thing with Kevin Hart. They were going after Kevin Hart for the Emmys. And, All right, wait, are we hiring black people or are we firing them? I forgot this week, Hollywood. Let me check your insane values to see what we're supposed to be doing this week.
Well, I just, especially with the Kevin Hart situation, I actually like the fact that he was just like, look, I've apologized a few times. You guys just seem like you want something else. And I like the fact that he stood up for himself and didn't, he lost that one opportunity, but he's able to, go out and make, like a couple of Jumanji movies that
Jumanji, he's great in Jumanji. I love him.
They're making a third one. So they're going to make a third one.
He's great. And I think James Gunn is a great director. So I'm happy to see him back on part 3. It just felt like a tantrum, Hollywood fired him. Everyone's trying to prove that they're better than the next guy. That's my bigger beef about this whole thing is when I read, and I have a Bible right here. When I read the Bible, so many of the scriptures are obsessed with don't judge others by a higher standard that you judge yourself. And that it's always going after the Pharisees for trying to act self-righteous in public. And I'm all that. I'm so much better than this guy because he's a sinner and I am not in need of salvation because I've got it all licked. And that's what I see. I see these dog piles as like opportunism, where if some guy, we saw Slick Jimmy get hit and suddenly everyone's like, I just can't, handle reading this comic now. And I'm going, everyone wants to look like they're better than everybody else. And instead I just go, we're all just crooked and bent and broken people. And me vocally tearing Weinstein apart does not make me any better. You know what I mean? It does not make me qualify for heaven more than someone else because I caught some guy in a sin. That's what I see happening on a wide scale is this is the only religion people know. It's like the only form of salvation is if some guy over there sins, I have to call it out and talk about just how disgusting and terrible. And I can't believe it. And really what I'm saying is I'm good. I'm just that good. I'm such a, now suddenly we're all prudes, just this ultra prude, even though everything else about our lives is completely foul and full of sin. But if I can just say, hey, I'm not as bad as Hitler over there, I feel like I'm saved. Maybe I'll make it because I'm one of the good ones. That's kind of what I smell is a self-righteousness, a Pharisee-like self-righteousness from the broadest of culture that they lost their old-timey religion. So this is a brand new religion by which we can receive. We're basically, it's like an inquisition. We're like little popes going around judging people from a throne is what I see. And instead I'm like, I'm a dirtbag. You're a dirtbag. Everyone's a dirtbag. Fine. That guy publicly got caught. But man, what would happen if everyone's Google search history just went public? You don't do that with me. Yeah. Everyone's text messages and man, they find Matt Gaetz, you did a prostitute or whatever. Get him. Get that guy. Focus on him quick. Everybody can't believe that guy,
That's one thing when I was doing a sexy party, I kind of spilled the beans on all my various perversions. Yeah. So I was like, it's out there. So he's like, there's no shame in my game. So it is.
The more public you are about your own sin, the less they can weaponize. I mean, they can try, but everyone knows everything I've ever done or said. And yet here I am still working in independent business, which is my message to everyone about cancel culture is, if you ever want to be vocal about what you do, say, or be, you better be an independent businessman. Because if you work for someone else, they're going to be pressured to fire you.
Well, you definitely are an independent businessman. You've done several successful crowdfunding campaigns. I've backed quite a few of those. And loved all of the products I have received. What are you working on now, Doug?
Well, I have an animated short for which you're a star of, which is going to be great. We're working on that. I'm building up my YouTube channel, Doug TenNapel Unleashed. If you guys haven't subscribed, it's just right-wing political, me talking stuff. And then I'm on Locals also. I took my In Exile audience that got canceled, went over to Locals, and I've got 1,000 paid subscribers over there that are helping me make a living. And then I'm looking to launch, hopefully, a crowdfunded comic soon, maybe within the month. I'm looking to re-release my old book, Earthboy Jacobus, which is probably one of my favorite things I've ever written and drawn. It's a 272-page book. I'm going to do it in a hardbound format. I'm adding 16 pages of story, and I'm trying to figure out the business end of it. I only know it's going to be better off than it would have been had I not done my YouTube channel, because that YouTube audience is going to buy it in droves. And I hope to hold on to my comic book audience because they know they just got Earthworm Jim 2 delivered to them over the last month. They know I do good work. So I'm hoping to expand that business and then get on to Bigfoot Bill 3 is what we're doing.
Okay, so there is going to be a Bigfoot Bill 3.
Oh, yeah.
Are you there was a minute there where you were like doing the art, you were creating books like a madman, and the YouTube stuff kind of took off for you and you slowed down a little bit. So Are you finding a balance there? Or?
Yeah, I did that. What I said was I was going to be just bat out of hell, hardworking on Earthworm Jim 1 and 2 and Bigfoot Bill 1 and 2. Those were for the fans. I did one book every 6 months for 2 years. 320 pages times 2 is 640 pages in 2 years. So I don't need to answer to anyone for lack of output. So the third book of Bigfoot Bill is for me. So the first 2 are for the fans. The last one is for me. So you'll see even in the dedication of the books, I dedicate them to other people. This third book is just mine, up one side and down the other, and I'm really taking my time on it. And it's in a really tough spot. The story is, so I've got to really do some work I'm on the outline still, and it's tough going. And in the meanwhile, while I'm building my YouTube channel, it takes just hours and hours a day to do videos. So.
I actually wanted to ask you about Bigfoot Bill 2. You originally debuted a gorgeous cover from Sean Gordon Murphy.
Yep.
You
canceled.
Went through,
canceled.
That things happened, and that cover got pulled. Are you guys still cool? Do you talk to Sean Gordon Murphy?
I don't talk to him, but the last I heard from him, everything was cool. So he made sure that after that was done, hey, I hope, no hard feelings, and, I just can't publicly, I can't work with you, and I'm fine with that. I never want the cost of being a friend with someone be that they can't work anymore. So it's not like we were ever close buds or anything. He did it as a favor. It was a freebie. And I just thought, I just didn't want any regrets with that. I just didn't think that was right to snap it off in him and say, well, we're going to go with it anyways. That's just not my place. So yeah,
that'd be kind of a dick move, but
yeah, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a party, and if it's not a party for both of us, I just wouldn't do that to someone. So
all right.
It was a bummer. I think he was wrong to do it. I don't think, from what I see of the way people act, I never expect heroism from people. I just think it's really tough. What culture does to most men is really mean. The way it grinds them down, the way it tears them apart, the way the public abuses them into picking friends and picking projects. I think that's mean. And I don't want to contribute to that meanness to people who work with me. So I'm okay with him. Hey, how do we part ways publicly with the least amount of drama became goal one at that point.
Well, the reason I asked you is because I noticed he seemed to get a little blowback, after
Yeah.
some other stuff happened, and there was a trans creator, and Magdalene Visaggio, and there was some.
In hindsight, he helped me a lot, but now I see he had me under a spell. It was that kind of, and he got blowback from my audience. They said like total, Sean Gordon Murphy move, and I think that's fair. I think what everyone needs to learn is you're going to make enemies today, no matter what you do. If you're vocal about anything, pro-trans, anti-trans, pro-Georgia, anti-Georgia, you're going to make enemies, and you have to put on your big boy britches. And if you're going to be vocal about anything, then get ready for the storm, or you can be quiet. And I'm just not a quiet guy. Some people are. They can post about art all day and never bring up politics. And that's just, as an American, that's not me. That's not my expression. I get it that it's other people's, and I enjoy art. All the time. I'm on Mike Mignola's feed, and I know he's on the left, right? And I just love looking at his art, and I'm really thankful that he doesn't spout about politics all day, because I really enjoy his art. And just if it was a bunch of woke crap like which I put out right-wing stuff, and every once in a while I show an image, I don't expect my leftist fans to stick around. They're just like, sorry, I'm out. I just went to Peter DeSev, is one of my favorite all-time pencil artists. He's does work for Pixar, did just all these. He's one of the best artists I've ever seen. Pencil artists, character work, animals, monsters, whatever. I've followed his work since probably 1989. He was doing covers for like New Yorker and stuff. And I followed him today because I saw a piece of art that he put up. And then I saw his feed, and it was just all woke. And I'm going like, oh, it's going to be one drawing for every 100 tweets. And I just went unfollow. I just don't. I love your art, buddy. I'll find it, wherever I want. I have a bunch of books of his art, but I just didn't want that on my feed. So I get it. If someone else goes, Doug, you're like 20 tweets, right-wing politics, and one tweet, a drawing. So I'm out. I'm fine with that. Welcome to America, man.
Well, as a fine American, I also know you are a big Kaiju fan.
Oh, yeah.
I want to end with this. I know you love all those Godzilla movies and everything. Did you watch Godzilla versus Kong? And what did you think of it?
I watched it for a second time the night before last. So I loved it. But that comes with a huge qualifier. There's only been one good Kaiju movie, and that's Pacific Rim. And all the rest of them have been utter trash with character development, dialogue, plot. They're complete garbage. So I'm a Kaiju fan because I like watching men in suits or even big giant computer effects destroy buildings. It's the little boy in me. I smile, I cheer. It's like my favorite football team or something. And so that's the caveat I'll give before saying I loved King Kong versus Godzilla. I actually liked King of the Monsters a little better because I just like Ghidorah as a monster fighting Godzilla, a clear bad guy, over King Kong, who I'm half rooting for, And but it's a classic story. It is a classic story.
It is, but somehow King Kong found Stormbreaker from the Avengers movies, and I don't know where he got Stormbreaker, because I was like, and my buddies was like, no, that was like the spine, the little edge or whatever, little shell from
Godzilla's edge, so it can handle his electricity. It's a brilliant. This is another thing. This is story. King Kong has a frontal lobe. He can handle he has an opposable thumb. He can handle a tool.
And he knows sign language, which a lot of gorillas
knows sign language.
do.
Godzilla's a dumb lizard. And I'm just saying, it was great character development. It was great. I loved it.
Apparently they're going to make another one, I'm hearing. So there's all with what's the Millie Bobby Brown young lady from Stranger Things and all that. She's apparently they want her to come back for another one. So
I want to see a Mecha Ghidra. I want to see all the obscure Godzilla monsters coming out. I want to see all of them. I want to see them back. I just want to see more monsters, like very little human dialogue, very little story is very good. Just get those monsters out there tearing each other apart. That's what we want to see. Blow fire, throw one into a building. Every Godzilla movie has the little toy tanks coming up and pew, pew, pew. When I was a kid, I was 7 years old going, why are you bothering? You can't hurt a kaiju with a tank. They have like 50 of them. They have the laser beams, little animated beam. And like never killed Godzilla with a tank. They keep rolling them out.
Did you ever watch shows like Ultraman? I remember when they would Ultraman.
Every episode, multiple times. The little pigment thing with the floppy arms, and that was by Toho and Godzilla. Even they used the Godzilla suit in one of those episodes. They repainted it, but they even used him. I was a huge Ultraman fan. Huge. Okay. I love Ultraman. I just love it. Well, I'm a kaiju. Spectre Man, Space Giants. I'm huge on all that stuff.
Voltron, all that good stuff. That was my stuff. But Doug, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I know you are busy, but you did not hesitate. I was like, I want to talk about this, and you were like, let's fire it up. So
right now, I missed you. That's why I just wanted to get on with you. I just wanted to hang a little bit. I missed my audio, man.
Yeah, well, I definitely appreciate that. Guys, that's going to wrap it up. Again, you can check out my podcast, anchor.fm/Ikari Press, or you can check me out on any of your favorite streaming platforms. This will also be on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Ikari Press. Come hang out with us. Check out Daym Drops Super Official, daymcomic.com, and check out, I can't forget, we got a sponsor, southernmuffin.com. You can go to southernmuffin.com for all you couples out there, for all the lovers out there. Southernmuffin.com. Fine adult wares for all you.
Oh my God, what am I nodding to? I'm gonna go to that site and just turn ghost white. Even more ghost white.
They are you can procure marital aids at southernmuffin.com.
Sure.
So
I get it. It.
Candles and different things that couples need to spice things up. So
inflatable humans.
I think they have that as well. I've explored the site a little, but there you go. But guys, Doug TenNapel, the amazing Doug TenNapel. Doug, I'll let you get the last word there, brother.
Hey man, everybody. Y'all be good to each other out there. Support Antonio Bryce. Support Ikari Press. Give this show a thumbs up. Pass this show around to your friends, and we'll see you again. I'll have you on my show, dude. It'll be great.
There you go. Oh.